I'm Mark Golub, coming to you from the offices of Alliance Bernstein in downtown Manhattan, where we're about to celebrate two extraordinary events: the upcoming 100th anniversary of the Folksbiene Theater, the National Yiddish Folksbiene, and the 50th anniversary of Fiddler on the Roof. We want you to hear from some of the people who are here today and also to participate in the programming on Shalom TV. So here I am standing with the wonderful Jeff Weissenfeld, who is hosting this event at Alliance Bernstein as we're about to enter the 100th anniversary year of the Folksbiene, National Yiddish Theatre Folksbiene. First of all, thank you for inviting us. Isn't this a marvelous event?
It's a great event. If it's not for Shalom TV, who the hell would know about it? So that's why I schlepped you in here.
I'm thrilled. I am thrilled. By the way, how well do you know Yiddish?
Ich kenne nicht kein Wort, du nicht kann ich reden. Ich mach noch Spaß für dir, als der Eulam soll meinen, efter redt ein paar Wörter Yiddish nicht emes, so halb nicht und so lasst sich nicht aus.
How did you learn Yiddish?
My parents were survivors, the Europeans, Poland and Romania.
Did they speak in the home?
But my father used to tell my mother, Romanian is not a nationality, it's a profession.
Did you speak in the home?
Yes.
That's marvelous. Okay, what's it mean to you, this event? It's an extraordinary event, and there are going to be all kinds of people here. You're celebrating also an anniversary. I want you to, talk about that as well. It's not simply about the 100th year of the Folksbiene, but what are all the reasons people are coming here?
It's a chazaka this particular night. June 9th, next Monday, is our gala. It's sold out at Town Hall. It brings together virtually all of those still with us today who performed in the movie and theater version of Fiddler on the Roof. It's the 50th anniversary of Fiddler on the Roof. Your viewers tonight will see as we surprise Sheldon Harnack tonight on his 90th birthday, the lyricist for Fiddler on the Roof. There will be many, many stars, including Chaim Topol next week at Town Hall. But tonight we're going to have a sampling, some of the great stars. We're going to have some fabulous toasts. We're going to have some fun. And we're going to tell people and remind them why the National Yiddish Theatre is such an important component of Jewish life, and announcing the largest international Jewish performing arts festival ever held anywhere.
This is very important. There's going to be a celebration next year of extraordinary magnitude. Right to the camera. Explain our audience.
It will be more than a celebration. It'll be a coming together of theatrical and other performing artists from the Jewish world, from all over, from Moscow, from Buenos Aires, from Tel Aviv, from Paris, and they will come here, and there will be symposia, there will be theater, there will be shows. I don't remember the exact duration, but will be for at least a couple of weeks next year. During our 100th anniversary year, it will be in memory of Zalman Lutik's mother. It's being dedicated in her memory, who is the greatest Yiddish musical archivist in Jewish history.
Absolutely.
And this will be the International Jewish Performing Arts Festival, and if New York has been the capital of anything, it will certainly be the capital of the Jewish performing arts.
I've asked this of you before, but I want you to speak about it again. People worry that Yiddish is dying, that this generation is the last generation that don't even have a clue. What's your sense about the vitality of Yiddish today?
It's growing for the first time in a long time, and I'll tell you why. We have 50,000 people a year coming to see our shows. I believe things like the super title technology, where people get every word translated as if they were in the opera, has brought us to a new space. It brings us young people, absolutely new generation, and 50,000 people a year touching our shows, whether they're at City University, our main stage productions, our special shows that we do, the presentations, the traveling troops that go around the country when they're underwritten. That is the largest number of people seeing Yiddish theater. In other words, seeing the language as it was spoken in the flesh in our ancestral homelands, the largest number since 1962.
Amazing.
So that's more than 50 years. It's 52 years.
I've said it to you many times. I not only love you, I respect so much what you've done, not only for the Yiddish theater, but for the Jewish people, the state of Israel. Thank you for making sure we're there. And call Tuva Hatzlacha, strength to strength.
We're going to have a good time here tonight.
We have a great time.
Okay.
Jeff Weissenfeld.
I hope you don't have to censor anything later. You'll have to be the judge of that.
I won't worry about it. Jeff Weissenfeld, say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
So everybody has their heroes. I'm sure you have many. This is one of my heroes, Sheldon Harnack, and that name should resonate with every one of you who has grown up loving the Broadway musical theater. This is the extraordinary lyricist of one of the greatest Broadway musicals of all time, Fiddler on the Roof. First of all, how you doing?
I'm trying to look heroic.
Are you about to celebrate a birthday?
I just did in April, my 90th.
90th? You
Yeah.
look fabulous.
Actually, I'm dyslexic, so actually I'm 9 years old.
By the way, you know, everywhere you go, I know people are always saying to you, oh my goodness, what an extraordinary musical book you were part of. The lyrics, you know, we all know the lyrics. Many people know the lyrics even better than the music.
Everybody said that except Walter Kerr.
How did it come to you? How did you and Jerry Bach, at what point does the idea of doing Fiddler on the Roof come to you?
Well, somebody sent me a novel by Shalom Aleichem called Wandering Star, and I loved it. I gave it to Jerry Bach. He loved it. We sent it to Joe Stein. We thought he'd be the right book writer. Joe read it, and he said, this is too big. It's a mammoth novel. It would be impossible to adapt. But since we love the writing by Shalom Aleichem, let's see what else we can find. So we started reading other things by Shalom Aleichem. We read Tevye's Daughters and thought, this is what we want to do.
You knew it right away?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not exactly the same story. Obviously, every time a story is done, there has to be creativity by the team. What are some of the major things you tried to do with that made this into this classical musical?
One of the major changes we made, the story about Chava, in the way Shalom Aleichem tells it, has no ending.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, Shalom Aleichem turns to, or rather Tevye turns to Shalom Aleichem and says, Mr. Aleichem, what would you do? And that's the end of the story. So we thought, we cannot have Zero Mostel walk to the front of the stage and say to the audience, how should we end this, you know? So Joe Stein had to invent an ending, and I love what he invented.
Yes.
Because...
And for anybody who may not have seen, the ending is?
And the ending is, he has declared his daughter dead before because she's married out of the faith, and yet when they're all being exiled and he may never see her again, he finally looks at her and he whispers to his other daughter, tell her, God be with you. And at least you know that he's acknowledged her.
Yes, in his heart, she's still alive.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. You know, Sheldon, in some way, and I've said this to other people, I would love to hear your take. Many people don't understand how profound a story the Shalom Aleichem story is and how you captured it in this musical, which some people think is a musical comedy. I don't think it's a comedy. It's a musical about life. And the theme of tradition is one that people can understand whether they're Jewish or not. But in reality, it's the story of the Jewish tradition generation after generation in your play. It's daughter by daughter, moving further and further away from tradition. As you wrote this, as you even see it when you're in the audience, what does this whole idea mean to you, that the Jewish people are constantly fighting to hold each generation as part of a traditional chain, and at the same time, young people move, you know, from Muttel to a Russian soldier, to Far from the Home I Love, one of the all-time great lyrics of. But how do you see the arc of the story of Fiddler on the Roof?
Well, I see it totally differently, of course. What happens every time I see the show is I see it on two levels. I see the show that we opened with in Detroit, and I see all the changes we made, and I'm always marveling at Jerome Robbins' genius.
Give me one example.
The opening of the second act, for instance, we had a song called, I can't even remember what the name of the song was, but it was an up-tempo, it was kind of a dance. And our producer, Hal Prince, said, guys, that's a traditional Broadway opening, we're not a traditional Broadway show. Why don't we just have Tevye come out and tell the audience what happened after the pogrom? So we changed it. You know, we just scrapped the whole number. It was things like that.
Very beautiful. What was it like, how I should ask, how did it come to be that Tevye is played originally by Zero Mostel, who really is more known as an actor and comic than he is a Broadway musical star. How did you choose him?
That was Jerome Robbins' idea. Jerry Bach and I wanted an actor named Howard Da Silva. He'd been in Fiorello, and he was wonderful, and he sang well. And we suggested this to Robbins, and Robbins said, no, I want somebody who's larger than life. He said, Howard is wonderful, but he's life-size. I want somebody larger than life, and that's why I want Zero Mostel.
Fabulous decision. As you've seen this over the years, and you know, so many actors have now played this role, great actors. Who are some that you are so pleased took this role?
Well, my favorite, in the first go-round, we had about 7 or 8 Tevias. My favorite of all of those was Herschel Bernardi.
Whom I saw, by the way.
Yeah.
And he was an extraordinary Tevye.
He had humor, he sang well, he was a good actor, and unlike Zero, he was totally disciplined. He was wonderful. We had Harry Goss,
Yes.
who wasn't the actor that the other ones, but nobody sang it more beautifully than Harry did. And of course there was Zero. Then Topol did it, and Topol brought something else to it, a masculinity, a paternal, he was a paternal figure, and the fact that he was Israeli gave something to this show that I don't even know how to describe it. Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you, there was once a time when I got to play Tevye in a 7-week run. It was a dream come true for me. And in my mind, it binds me to you. I want to thank you for, again, creating something extraordinary called Tuva Hatzlacha, as they say in Hebrew. Only success in everything you continue to do to 120. And one day I'll have you in studio, and I'll ask you all the other little questions I have about Fiddler on the Roof. But thank you. From all,
thank you.
You know, this entire room says thank you.
Thank you.
For doing something extraordinary. Sheldon Harnack. What a joy. I'm standing with one of my favorite performers in the world, Joanne Boards.
So sweet.
No. She's extraordinary. You've seen her in different ways on Shalom TV, and I've followed her, you know, now for a couple of years, 3, 4, 5 years. It's amazing how time goes, Joanne. But every time
Maybe
I hear...
more like 10 years, but that's okay.
Whatever
Don't
it is,
worry about
right.
that.
Incidentally, how have you get younger and younger? And and that's true. How?
Because I have a photograph in the closet, so it's becoming hideously ugly, and I'm staying young and beautiful
You
and
certainly
modest, and I've got lots of humility.
So what's it mean to you to be part of this event? First of all, we're about to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the National Yiddish Theatre Folksbiene, and we're also celebrating the 50th anniversary of one of the great all-time Broadway musicals, Fiddler on the Roof, and here you're going to perform tonight. Tell me, what's it mean to you?
Well, I had the opportunity, am I looking at you? Right. So I had the opportunity to be in Fiddler on the Roof for the 25th anniversary production.
Where?
On Broadway.
With whom?
Toured with Topol. We toured around the country, we went to Canada, and then we came to Broadway. We even went to Japan with the tour. It was an awesome experience, and then I got to do it on Broadway with Topol, which was...
Unbelievable, right? Okay.
It was
And
unbelievable.
what was your role?
I was Rivka,
Wow.
and I had a great time. It was a beautiful experience. It was a beautiful time to be on Broadway. It was a community that changed my life.
In what way, Joanna?
It was the beginning of the AIDS crisis, and not quite the beginning, but it was about the time when Broadway was getting very involved, and we had just started the Red Ribbon campaign, and we did a lot of fundraising. We did the Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS Gypsy Robe. We did the Easter bonnet competition, and we were very involved. We got the fundraising awards, so we were really involved with the community, and it was an awesome time to be part of the Jewish community and part of the Broadway community. It was also the first Iraq War, so we had a lot of people coming together and believing the same things.
Were you doing 8 performances a week?
Yes?
Were you married?
I was not.
So you were single, at least single.
I was at least
and
single.
Anybody understand? It's an extraordinarily rigorous enterprise for an actress or an actor to be on stage 8 performances a week. Am I right?
It is. I'm in a Broadway show right now.
What are you in?
I'm in Once.
She's in once. If you haven't seen once, you've got to see. It's fabulous. Yep.
Yeah, and so I've been there since it opened, and we won the Tony Award, and it was an awesome experience. Also 8 shows a week, but now I do have a husband and 3 children, so.
Still you manage.
Still I manage. It's good. It's great. He's a beautiful cook, so.
Where'd you learn your Yiddish?
I learned Yiddish from the Arbeitering Schulen. I went to the Workman Circle schools. I went to Camp Hemschach and we spoke Yiddish. I spoke Yiddish in the theater. I worked at the Folksbiene Yiddish Theatre, and just a lot of, it's been a part of my life. My parents spoke Yiddish and we sang Yiddish in the house, so it's always been a piece of my life.
That is wonderful. I've asked this of other people. I'd like to hear your answer. Are you worried that Yiddish, as both a language and in some way it's a culture, is dying in this next generation? Do you worry for the future of Yiddish?
Not if people don't start treating it, instead of treating it like a relic, and people start treating it as a living, breathing language, and start working it that is as if it were a way of communicating and a way of doing art, then we'll be just fine. You know that my other project is Kids in Yiddish. So I do a show called Kids in Yiddish, and I write, and I co-write, and I direct, and I choreograph, and we've been doing it for over a dozen years. And the idea is to teach Yiddish to the children so that parents won't understand them. We take the guilt out of Yiddish. We take the, we don't want anyone to know that we speak this immigrant language out of it. The kids are totally inspired. The kids are enhanced by this extra language, and they feel closer to their grandparents because of it, and they feel closer to the next generation because of it. All my kids who had been in the show with me, they're now all in their 20s, they're awesome, they're rabbis and Harvard grads and incredible people who still have Yiddish in their lives. It's never been something that I felt bad about.
You are making such a contribution, not only to the Yiddish world, but also to Jewish life.
Thank you.
You know how much I love you. Thank you so much. Here at this extraordinary event, I'm standing with Paul Bernstein. By the way, how long have you been either involved or watching?
I started the business in 1967.
What business?
This business.
What?
With my brother, Sanford C. Bernstein and Company.
Yes.
2 people started it. We were managing $2 million, and there were 5 other people that never heard of the stock market, like a camp mother and a telephone operator and all of that kind of stuff.
And it just grew?
Well, I guess it grew, yeah. We were 600 people at one point.
Unbelievable.
Unfortunately, my brother passed away, and he gave $4 billion or some wacky number to a charity he started, and the major partners got a great deal of money, and firms changed.
Well, I understand. And life does move on, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Here we are celebrating the 100th birthday almost of
the Folksbiene.
Of the Folksbiene. What's the whole Yiddish thing mean to you?
Well, I remember all the theaters on 2nd Avenue, and Jeffrey Weissenfeld is a partner of mine, and we're trying to keep the language alive and the theater alive, because I know people that never knew about the Holocaust. I mean, and and unfortunately, in my mind, it's the Jews that elected Obama. My parents were born here, but that age of person, they came from Europe. They were basically socialists, and they thought it was great if they can get something for nothing. Now, what Malfaz is doing, and I really, what the hell? I forget his name, but I'm worked up. I had a tough day. I am so happy about this organization, but it's really not my thing. My thing, I have my own New York Times neediest of very poor people. I help blacks get a GED test so they can work at McDonald's for $8 an hour. This country, I'm proud to be Jewish. I'm not Orthodox. My brother is a very important man, Zalman Bernstein. Brilliant. He built this place. It was his idea. I helped him. As it grew, a lot of other people helped. Trying to write a book about growing up with him and how the firm started, but unfortunately the 2 major people don't want to be interviewed, even though Michael Lewis, I'm trying to get to do it. Money has changed a lot of people in Wall Street.
Hasn't it?
This firm is not a typical firm. We were in business to protect people against themselves. I spoke to a woman here who comes to all these events, and I said, how do you do in the market? And of course, she doesn't even know. If she buys a stock that pays a dividend and it goes down 50%, she's very happy. It's tough. This is a very difficult business. People are greedy. I told hundreds of people about Madoff. He belonged to my country club. I used to date his wife. People don't listen. I used to lecture on cruise ships. I've been on over 150 cruises. Why people lose money in the stock market? They don't care. They want hot tips and schmecky belly. And then you got Carl Icahn now, who I know very well, is in the paper. And believe me, he's guilty. He could sue me for saying that. I don't care.
This
And
wonderful.
I hope this gentleman comes to see me. I want to take him to Kansas.
This wonderful guy is one of the hosts here at Alliance Bernstein.
I'm not a host.
Yes, you are. You make this possible. It's really an honor to meet you. But now that we've spoken,
Wait.
I want you in studio for an hour, and I want to talk about your life. Can I do it?
Absolutely.
All right. I'm standing with two extraordinary people. This woman on my right, Brian Wasserman, is really the heart and soul right now behind Zalman Motek and the National Yiddish Theatre Folksbiene. And what an extraordinary event this is and what we're going into this next year. How exciting are you about all this?
You know, 100 years is nicht kein Kleinigkeit. You know, when we think about 100 years of survival and 100 years of perseverance and against all odds, still to be here for the next generation.
It's more than here. You've grown.
Okay.
That's you get enormous credit for that. That's extraordinary. Eric Lieberman is with you.
Hi.
Okay, Eric, where are you from?
I'm from Miami, Florida.
Okay, and you're going to be working on the event next week.
Exactly, the Raising the Roof Gala.
Describe it to our audience, right to the
Well,
camera.
it's a 50th anniversary celebration of Fiddler on the Roof at Town Hall. We're celebrating Sheldon Harnack's 90th birthday and the 100th consecutive season of the National Yiddish Theaters.
What's your own background?
I'm an actor, and I've been on Broadway and played at the White House, and I did Fiddler on the Roof with Topol, Harvey Fierstein, and Theo Bickel.
You were Muddle?
I was Muddle. I was Muddle. How did you know?
Just a wild guess.
You got it, yeah.
What a fabulous production, right?
It's an incredible, incredible show, and it's such a gift to share its impact from generation to generation with our audiences next week. They are in for some major surprises and great stars.
It'll be a major reunion.
Okay, do you remember it 50 years ago?
Actually, I do. And when you think about it, when you think what was accomplished by taking the Shalom Aleichem stories and bringing it as a present to really the universe
Yes.
around the world, whether it's in Japanese or in French. I recently saw a French production in Quebec. So wherever it is, it's the heart and soul of our people.
You know, when it was first produced and had not yet premiered on Broadway, there were a lot of people who said it's too Jewish, there'll be no universality to it, it'll never last. And then what is its extraordinary international appeal?
Well, Hal Prince enlisted Jerome Robbins to choreograph it and direct it because he knew after seeing his work in West Side Story, he'd lift it to universality. And the key to that is tradition. And cultures all around the world are based in tradition, and everybody is the child of someone, and everyone is often the parent of someone. So we all know about hellos and goodbyes and leaving lands we love and having to carry them in our hearts. And that's really the soul of the show.
I want you to know, I played a 7-week run as Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof.
Are you auditioning now? Are you going?
You know, by the way, Jeffrey Riches is bringing it back to Broadway in a year.
Yes.
Anyway, it was a dream come true for me. There is no production like it. I want to ask you one sensitive question about the show. You know, people who don't really watch the show, all they think of is Zero Mostel. And Zero Mostel was only one person to play this role. So many great, great Jewish actors have played the role. When I saw it, by the way, as a kid, it was already Herschel Bernardi. I had missed Zero Mostel. The fact of the matter is, Shalom Aleichem is saying something very powerful about the demise of tradition. And the story is about 3 daughters, each of whom takes a step further away from the essence of Jewish tradition. And in the end, Tevye has to make the decision as he's leaving on the Tefka. Does he take tradition with him? And he does. I'm asking you now a personal question. I have no idea what your personal life, the journey of your personal life, but could you talk for one moment about the eternal the eternal, not message, but the eternal challenge that Fiddler on the Roof presents to the Jewish people. How do you, generation after generation, maintain tradition when children tend to sort of drift away?
You know, when you ask those questions, we rely on Shalom Aleichem and his wisdom of the beautiful little stories that he has about the kachkalach, the little ducks that swim on the lake, and that the mother has to let go. And we do have to let go. And we have to let the generations find themselves, whether it's Shalom Aleichem, whether it's Fiddler, whether it's Shlomo Carlebach and his journey. The journey beyond tradition and is adventurous, and we have to do it. And what else is interesting, I think, about Fiddler is you have a story about family, but it's set in a historical setting. So that historical setting, that exodus, is as vital as the family.
Eric, you're a different generation. How do you answer that question?
I would just say that part of the beauty of the Jewish spirit is our adaptability, often having to land in new countries and learn new languages, and with that comes a retention of the soul of our Judaism, but the porosity, the openness to change and to welcome it. And that's part of our journey as well.
Two extraordinary people are here about to celebrate the beginning of the 100th anniversary of the National Yiddish Theatre Folksbiene and the 50th anniversary of one of the great Broadway musicals of all time, Fiddler on the Roof. Brenna and Eric, thank you so much for joining us. Mazal tov to you.
And l'chaim.
And hope to see you next week at Town Hall.
Thank you.
We would be pleased to send a complimentary DVD of this program to anyone who wishes to support Shalom TV with a tax-deductible gift of $36, double chai or more, to the nonprofit organization Jewish Education in Media. Simply visit the Shalom TV website homepage and click on the Donate button to make a donation by PayPal or your credit card. And please indicate the program for which you would like a DVD. Or you can send your tax-deductible check made out to GEM. To GEM, Post Office Box 180, Riverdale Station, Bronx, New York, 10471. And again, please remember to indicate which program you would like to receive on DVD with our compliments. And we thank you for your kind support.